welcome to my channel. My name is Brittany. I'm from Blackbird Dips. Today I am going to do a complete dip powder mani from start to finish. I'm going to show you every single step that you need to do to complete a successful and really nice smooth mani. I have a couple of tools that I'm going to be using. A brush, so you need some type of fluffy brush. I also like to use a stiff brush, so I like to have the option between a fluffy brush and a stiff brush. This tool right here is one of the game changers that you can get to do dip powder manis, and it is called a precision tool. You could also use a simple Q-tip, but I definitely have gotten way better results using this tool than just a Q-tip. You could get this on Amazon. This one specifically is from Triple D. I have a couple other different brands. They're all the same. Doesn't matter. It's just kind of like a metal thin point. Definitely get that. I have just a regular file. I'm using a 100/180 grit file. I have a bottle of alcohol, a couple alcohol lint-free wipe, and another stiff brush that I use with my alcohol. I'm also going to use a cupcake liner. It just makes it a little bit easier to manage your dip powder if it spills out of your container or if you are pouring. And also your liquids. So today I am using this new kit from Cascade Color Works. They sent me a 4-step dip liquid system. So we are going to check them out. So in it came with a pH bond, a base coat, their activator, and their top coat. So we're going to be doing a 4-step dip liquid mani. And my colors, I'm just doing 2 colors today from Sun and Moon Dips. Intuition is this really pretty purple. It has a shimmer to it, a light shimmer. And F-Bomb Mama. Oh boy, look at her. So full of foils, and there's dip powder in here also. So we'll be definitely using the cupcake liner for that one. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. To get started for our nail prep, I have just builder gel on here. I like for my dip powder manis to be able to come off easy whenever I want them to. So I do 2 layers of peel base. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Okay, once your 2 layers of peel base has completely dried, you're going to go ahead and with one thin layer of top coat. The point of this is peel base will make your liquids dry at different times. So it's not going to dry evenly, nice and smooth. So when you go to do your first layer of color, it will kind of be spotty because of your peel base. So if you do a layer of top coat over top of it, it's kind of like you start fresh. So we're going to go ahead and do that. I am using Cascade Color Works top coat. This is my first time even opening their bottle. Ooh, the smell is intense. So I went ahead and put a mask on. Sometimes certain dip liquids will cause the dip flu. And basically what that means is because of the chemicals that they are giving off, wow, I can smell it through this mask. Because of the chemicals they give off, they can cause upper respiratory issues, sinus infections, or sinus symptoms that could lead to infection. I get dip flu. My symptoms are all sinuses. So it's almost like I have a sinus infection, but it's just for one day. It typically is the day after I use the liquids. I have like a runny nose, a lot of sinus pressure, kind of like a hoarse voice. This top coat is burning my eyes like I'm cutting onions though, so just a heads up if you're sensitive. They make no odor dip liquids, so if you're sensitive, I would recommend looking for those. Okay, I'm going to wait for my top coat to dry, and then we're going to start with our dip mani. Okay, my top coat now is completely dry. I am going to go ahead and use their pH bond just because it is a part of their 4-step system. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get into the actual dip. So, this is my color. It's called Intuition. It is from Sun and Moon Dips. It is so pretty. Some colors, whenever you do get them, they separate, just kind of like oil and water. So, the particles in the dip powder, some are heavier than others. So, over time, with bouncing and everything, the lighter ones will shift to the top and the heavier ones will shift to the bottom. So, it's always a good idea whenever you are starting to kind of just stir it up a little bit. Either take a Q-tip, oh my gosh, a toothpick. Don't do a Q-tip. A toothpick to kind of stir it up a little bit just to make sure that you are getting even pigment throughout your whole dip mani. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. I am using Cascade Color Works. We're going to start with their base coat. And I am going to start with one thin layer. I'm going to start not quite up to my cuticle area, right? So I'm kind of maybe 1 centimeter away from my cuticle area. I'm doing a thin layer to make sure that I don't flood my cuticles. Okay, nice even layer. If I have any on my skin, make sure that you wipe it off. And then we are going to dip directly into the powder. Nice and easy. Pull it straight out, and I like to knock a little bit of excess off. And then we're going to take a look at the nail. If you see any dip powder that has adhered to the skin, you want to take your precision tool and just kind of wipe around the area. We're going to let that dry. And we're going to go ahead with another one layer on our 5th finger also. So same thing, I'm going to start not quite the whole way up to the cuticle and just swipe straight down in a nice even layer, making sure I'm not flooding. And then we're going to take the dip powder and just slowly dip in. This color is pretty. Okay, once this has dried, you're going to take your brush, whatever brush you have, and brush off any excess powder that you have for a couple of reasons. One, you don't want to contaminate your brush the next time you put it on here. Really pretty. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead in with our second layer. For my second layer, I am going to go ahead and go a little bit higher up towards the cuticle area. And again, I'm doing a very thin layer so I don't flood my cuticle. I'm going to dip right in. And then I'm going to take my precision tool and just kind of give it a swipe around. Okay, so that is... Why am I having trouble focusing here? So there we go. So that is my second layer. Second layer on my 5th digit. Same thing. Doing a thin layer, but now I'm going a little bit higher. All right, I am going to let those dry. All right, we're gonna brush off any excess powder. You wanna make sure that it's completely dry before you start brushing off, otherwise you're gonna obviously wipe off the powder that you do have on there. All right, I'm gonna go ahead in with a third layer, and this time I'm going to try to get as close up to this cuticle area line that I can without actually getting anything on my cuticle skin. So again, a very thin layer. Now each dip liquid that you use have different dry times. So I think it's always good whenever you use different liquids to swatch out your colors with the liquids that you are using, just so you can get used to their dry times. Now I kind of got a little bit of the liquid out on my cuticle area. I am going to wipe that before I stick my finger into the color. This way it's easier to remove before it actually gets pigment on it. And again, I'm going to do another swipe. And that's how we get our nice clean cuticle lines. Third layer on my 5th digit. Okay, our color is completely done for these two nails. I'm going to wipe off the excess. Now this is an important step that you don't want to skip. I am going to go ahead and with a layer of clear over top of my color. Okay, and the point of this is when I go to file and buff, this way I'm smoothing out the actual nail and I'm not taking away some of the pigment. So by putting a layer of clear over top of this clear dip powder, it gives us the ability to file and buff without ruining the color. Okay, so we did 3 layers of color and 1 layer of clear over top of our nails. I waited for it to dry. I'm going to brush off any excess. Now, even though it is dry, it is not hard. Okay, so this is still very, very soft. So if I could gouge my nail into it. What makes it hard is the activator. So we are going to, after you brush off any excess dip powder, you're going to go ahead and with a couple layers of activator. Activator has like the consistency of alcohol. It evaporates pretty quickly, but this is the most important part that makes your dip powder hard. All right, so those 2 nails are done for now. We're going to go ahead and move on to F-Bomb Mama. This beautiful, beautiful mix of foils and white base color. Really, really pretty. Okay, so when we are doing foils, there's a couple different ways that you can do it. And like I said, I recommend that you swatch out every single color you get because each one, even foils, each one needs to be treated differently. Wow, she was super full. Okay, so I am going to dump it out into my little cupcake liner. I'm going to paint my thin layer of base, and I'm going to just dip my finger into the cupcake liner like that. If I would have kept it into my container and dipped into what we had, I would have only get a shit ton of foils. So I want a nice even base of both foils and this white base color that's going on here. So we'll go ahead and do that. All right, when we lift our finger up, immediately we want to start pressing down what we have. Now remember, because this is dip powder and we haven't used the activator yet, everything is still kind of pliable and soft. It's not ever going to get hard. So you need to be careful whenever you're moving things around that you're not denting or sliding it completely off your nail. So you want to be gentle but kind of forceful with your foils and just press them down, okay? See that? And then we have a couple over here in this area. Once we brush off, those will not, I would assume that they're not going to be adhering. Will come off. Cute. All right, let's move on to our ring finger. All right, we are also going to do our thumb. Okay, by this time, our middle finger should be pretty dry. I am going to go ahead and take my stiff brush and just gently, now I'm not going very hard, just gently going over to remove any excess foils or dip powder that we have that haven't adhered. We're going to go ahead in with our second layer. Now, I really like how this looks, so I'm going to continue to dip how I did the first time. So there's a couple other things that you could do here. You could do a layer of dip base and just manually apply pieces of foil over top, but I'm going to go ahead and just do the dip. And right into the middle where I get a good mix of that white and foils. Same thing with my ring finger. And then we're going to do the same thing for the thumb. Okay. So full. Okay, we're going to give those 3 nails a couple minutes to dry, and then we are going to go ahead and coat them in clear as well. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead in with 2 layers of clear. So I'm just going to brush off the excess. Again, the clear is there to protect the pigment, so I really want to make sure that when I am filing, I'm not really losing any of the color of my foils. Okay, we will wait for those 3 to dry. All right, my 3 have dried. I'm just going to brush off the excess clear dip powder. And now we are going to go in with our activator to make those nails hard. Each activator, each company, their activator has a specific time for it to work. Some are 30 seconds, some are the whole way up to 2 minutes that you have to wait for them to completely harden the nail. The easiest way, unless you read the product information, for you to be able to tell that the nail is ready is, I'm going to show you here 1 second. Finish this one. Okay, so this nail is not activated, right? So when I tap it, it's kind of like this little hollow sound. This one is activated. Hear that? That's how you know your nail is ready to be filed. So if you're not sure on your activation time, put it on, give your nails a tap, and see what sound you're getting, basically. Because you don't want to start filing before they are ready, because all of this will come right off. There's no specific amount of how much activator you're supposed to be applying. When I do 2 or 3 layers, I like to apply 2 or 3 layers of my activator, just to make sure it penetrates down through those layers. All right, while we are waiting for those foil nails to dry, we can go ahead and continue with our purple nails with filing. So I am using a 100/180 file that is smooth on one side and a little bit rougher on the other side. The first thing that I am going to do is I like to do my side walls, and I'm using the smoother side to just kind of continue on with the shape that I would like to have. My nails were already shaped prior to this. I'm just kind of making sure they stay along those lines. So I'm not doing too much there. And then I'm going to go ahead and file the tip. Just make sure it's nice and straight. And I like to look at it at all angles. Perfect. And then we're going to go ahead and buff and file the top. So I am just kind of gently smoothing out the top layer. And I'm working on the side here, so I have like a nice smooth. And I don't want a drastic ridge. While you are filing, you want to always continue to look at the nail to make sure you are not filing too much. If you keep filing, eventually you are going to file down past the clear layer and into the pigment layer, and the pigment will start to go away. So file and look and file and look, always keeping an eye on the progress that you are making. And I want to continue down the nail bed and file the entire nail. And then I'm going to take this rounded edge side and just kind of go up and around the cuticle area. To thin out the ridge that comes from my cuticle directly into the nail bed. There we go. You can see how it started to smooth out. That looks really good. Okay. And at any point, if you want to, you can take your stiff brush, wipe it off. I also keep a separate brush for my alcohol, so you can just take some alcohol and wipe it off. Wipe off that dust, and then you can take a look to see really where you are at. So pretty. I don't even think I need to do any more filing on that. Let's move on to my 5th digit. I'm going to do the same thing. So we start with the sides. Okay. And then we'll do the end. I'm left-handed, so this is a little bit difficult for me. Okay, and now we're going to do the top. So for the sides, I am using my sharper, stronger side, and then for the top, and for like the actual buffing part, I'm using the smoother side. think she looks good. Okay, let's move on now to our foil nails. So same practice, I'm going to do the sides. When I do the sides, I kind of go along the ridge of the nail. So I come at it kind of like underneath a little bit to the side, and then I wrap up around the side of the nail. So I'm going the whole way kind of up. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So that kind of gives it a nice smooth shape. Okay, and then we'll do the top. Now remember, I did 2 layers of clear on top of my foils, so a little bit more filing might be involved, and it's okay for me to be a little bit more aggressive, giving me that comfort that I'm not going to ruin the pigment of those foils. We are completely done filing. So at this point, most people go and wash their hands. In my practice, I have stopped washing my hands. Sometimes I'll start washing my hands with Dawn dish soap, but most of the time I just use alcohol. Point of that is, if you're having lifting going on, stop washing your hands and switch to alcohol. Either the soap that you're using has oils in it, which is super common, or, you know, you're touching something on the way back from the bathroom, your hair, getting hair oils, your skin, whatever it may be. So I just don't move. I just stay here and do alcohol. And I'm trying to get all of the little particles out from around the cuticle like that. Okay. One other thing that you could do for filing or buffing is actually use a buffer block to smooth it out. If you don't have it, you don't have to. You could just continue on with that step, with the next step. I'm going to pull one out and I'm going to use one. Here is a buffing block that I'm going to use, and I'm just going to, this kind of just helps smooth everything out a little bit better after you use the file. So if you have any, it really just like gets into all of the edges and everything. Again, it's not necessary. I just like the look that it gives. It kind of makes everything smoother, especially if you are working with your foils or glitters. I think it gives it a more complete, smoother look. Okay, that's it. That's all the buffing that I'm going to do. Again, I'm going to go back in with my alcohol. Okay, once you have removed all of the dust particles, you want to just let these dry, and then we're going to go ahead in with another layer of activator. So the activator, this step here is important. One, we just removed a whole bunch of dip powder, right? So we put activator over top of our dip powder to harden it, and then we filed it all off. Okay, so we filed off the activator that we got and some of the layers. So one, you do another layer of activator to just make sure that everything is truly hardened, and two, it helps your top coat dry. So you need it to help the top coat dry. So if you skip that step, your dip top coat will not dry. So I am going to take just a lint-free wipe, And I'm just going to wipe off any excess activator. The point of this is, again, the activator is going to make the top coat harden and dry. So we're basically putting activator on our top coat brush, right, whenever we're brushing it on here. So we would just want to wipe off any excess just to prevent contaminating further our brush. Okay? Now we are going to do our last step, which is our top coat. Wait for that to dry, and we are done. Okay, guys, we are completely done. Top coat was our last step. It is completely dry. Before I go in with some cuticle oil, I'm going to show you, this is what I do too, so you make a mess on your other hand whenever you are pressing down the foils and everything. I literally just take a file and just gently file off that of my skin. There we go. Okay, back to normal. Completely back to normal. Okay, that is our finished product. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. I went ahead in with some cuticle oil. This is Rosemary Mint. It's from one of my favorite companies, Blackbird Dips. The smell is delicious. It's one of my favorites. If you guys have any questions, if you are a new dipper, please feel free to reach out to me with any questions or troubles that you are having. I am always here to help. I hope this has helped you. I know I made it look easy because it is. You can do it. I promise. It is easy and fun, and I love this one. It's perfect for springtime right now. All right. Well, that is it. Till next time.